This is the first time they've been able to go inside and see what's damaged, but now they're going in knowing that their nightmare was caused by a cigarette butt thrown into a diaper pail.
But Josh, you're at a different location than the last time we talked to you. You got moved?
That's right, Daryl. They moved us because the winds actually picked up, and if you can look over here, you can see that the smoke is actually looking like a fog going along the street here all the way to 137 Ave. That probably will affect traffic, but we do know that, like I said before, this is a 3-alarm fire, but we are getting a better sense of the damage. You can look over there, and you can see that it spans almost half of the condominium there, the roof totally destroyed. In an update today, the city says that the abundance of investment in our downtown means the city can cover the $32 million the province never ponied up on.
What went right?
Well, they got a lot of investment from people like the Cates Group. They actually pumped $1.4 billion into the downtown area towards things like an office tower, hotel, and casino. Chris got the kayaker back to shore safely, but then he learned his day on this lake was far from over. Off camera, Gene said that the survival of the Wild Rose after Danielle Smith showed that the party is more than just one person. Not only does it kill mosquitoes, it works in really cold weather, something they say the other kinds don't do. Sunday is all about what's next, and for many, they could be on their own. For Doug Goss, it's sorry. Why do you regret what you said?
Well, just because the fallout's obviously been pretty negative.
But not sorry.
If you're referring to was I a supporter of the Progressive Conservative Party, I absolutely was a supporter of the Progressive Conservative Party. There's no doubt about that.
For 3 years, Goss has volunteered as a chair of the Board of Governors, making big decisions for the U of A.
This is a critical time in this city's and this province's history, and we just cannot afford to go backwards.
That was Goss last week, wearing his other hat as a lawyer and the CEO of multiple companies. He and other Edmonton businessmen warned of the effects of an NDP government. But he has one of the top jobs of an institution of 40,000 students, which gets $1 billion from the province each year. A province which is now NDP.
I hope everyone realizes that I've always been transparent in my feelings about politics and government. I've never tried to hide those things.
Last week, the Association of Academic Staff said Mr. Goss is expected to separate his public service from his private interests, act in a nonpartisan fashion, and be prepared to work with any party. If they ask for his resignation, will you follow it?
I am going to have a conversation with the Academic Staff Association.
Today, the 21-person board voted to keep him. Students and staff are mixed.
Oh, well, he can say whatever he likes.
It doesn't sound good.
You might have an opinion, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to share it with the public.
In a statement, the NDP said of Goss's comments, this is a time to build new relationships and work together. Beyond that, they also promised stable funding for post-secondary. How much and where it will go, that's the next step. Josh Skurnick, CTV News, Edmonton. In the town of Fox Creek, trucks are plentiful. Nature serene, but a boat can be hard to come by when you really need it.
We have to get a boat, we have to get it out to them.
Late Sunday afternoon, Chris McKenna was driving his truck near Lake Iossagan.
Boat parked right there, hooked up to the truck.
He didn't get far.
And before I even really got to say too much, they just said 911 has received a call of a boat submerged.
Chris and his crew got his speedboat back in the lake.
A guy in a paddleboard waving his oar.
Out to a kayaker in trouble.
So we pulled him into the boat, brought him back to the dock. When we got to the dock, the on-call constable said that the people that were in stress had called from a cell phone.
But it wasn't him making that call. Chris got the kayaker back to shore safely, but then he learned his day on this lake was far from over. There was a family of 7, 3 kids still out there in this boat. The crew went back out, no hesitation.
The worst thing's going to happen, we're going to burn some fuel in the boat.
They found them. Jason Hewitt and Tanya Montgomery are safe now, but Jason, a grandparent, and his son were stranded out in the water. Another child was in bad shape.
Our son was on shore and he was trying to go to sleep, so my dad was trying to keep him awake.
So your son was passing out?
Yeah.
He was hypothermic.
No one knows how it all worked out, but are just glad it did.
All the dominoes were against them, but all the dominoes on the other side were still standing.
It was meant to be, I guess.
The one thing you can always find in a town like Fox Creek, a helping hand. Josh Kernick, CTV News, Lake Iossagan. Veronica, for most of these MLAs, this is the first time that they've even met, but new details on unrest in the oil industry. The untested government still convincing it they are here to create jobs, not kill them.
Good morning.
Hi. For most, it's like the first day of school.
Still letting it all sink in.
With a new teacher and a new mandate, it's time to introduce themselves and get to work.
Most of us are new to the legislature, so obviously we've got a lot to learn about how the systems work, about the resources we have.
I feel prepared, but again, there's a little bit of anxiety there whenever anyone starts a new job.
This government has the highest percentage of women in a governing caucus across the country. The median age is 40. That's the same as the entire province. It's made up of nurses, lawyers, and students, to name a few.
Albertans can see themselves reflected in our new government.
And the first big test for this caucus is courting a wary oil industry.
There's uncertainty in Alberta right now.
This Saskatchewan minister says an NDP promise of a royalty review has companies like Calgary's Bonterra looking to move their money.
They had been looking at 100% investment into Alberta this year. Now they're looking to Saskatchewan.
We will work closely with our partners in business and in industry.
But the NDP says the premier designate did meet with oil CEOs this week after the big win, some even reaching out to her, and the reception, they say it was good. In a statement, the NDP says individual corporations will make their own decisions about where they will invest their capital. Alberta will remain a stable and attractive energy-producing province.
They have what's in their platform. We need to know pretty quickly what their timetables are. We need to know what their priorities are going forward. But that said, we're still looking pretty good in Alberta. When Kelly Jerome walked out Monday morning, what is this? She wasn't mistaken.
This is what we found, sitting by our fence.
It had spots, stains, whatever that is.
You don't know if that's blood.
This time of year it happens. People cleaning up put their trash down where it's not supposed to go.
It's been happening all over from what I understand, but I mean that's pretty bad that somebody's dumping couches.
Trash is everywhere. Here in the Mill Creek Ravine, you can find everything from trash bags to newspapers. But the city says this season is no worse than usual.
Towards the end of every month when people are moving, or in the spring when people are doing a lot of spring cleanout, dumping can be an issue.
But for Kelly, it's an eyesore and won't go away. She says she called the city, but because it's on her property between the fence and the alley.
Yeah, this one is my problem. That's what they told me.
She has to move it herself and pay the fees.
Because I'm one person. How am I going to move? I can't even move my own furniture. How am I going to move somebody else's? I'm so mad.
Waste Management says they have eco stations where you can drop off junk for a small fee, free dump days in the spring. But getting it there is on you, and with no evidence of the culprit, they say they're stuck.
Tell us what was dumped, where it was dumped, and then obviously descriptors of the vehicle such as license plate, make, model, color, and then a descriptor of the individual.
That white fence down there, it's right on the corner.
Even Kelly's neighbors have a headache. Another couch.
Obviously, I'm going to have to clean it up, or one of the neighbors here is going to have to clean it up sooner or later.
Is that fair?
No, it's not.
If you want a free couch, you know where to find one. Joshua Skurnick, CTV News, Edmonton.